Welcome to The Third Word, a podcast from Third Baptist Church in Owensboro, Kentucky. I'm Derek Cain, and I'm the pastor here. And I'm so glad that you've chosen to join us today. I believe deeply in the power of storytelling, how stories shape us, challenge us, and invite us into deeper community and reflection. Today, I've got a powerful parable to share called The Villagers and the Crocodile. As you listen, I invite you to consider where you might see yourself in this story, and more importantly, where God might be calling you to act. The Villagers and the Crocodile. Once upon a time, there was a well-ordered little village by a wide, beautiful river. The villagers depended on the river for its water and its fish, and they often crossed the river to visit places on the other side. People would gather on the riverbank, sharing news and conversation as they went about their business. Life there was peaceful until a massive, cunning crocodile appeared. At first, the villagers caught a few ominous glimpses of it, but they hoped it would just go away quickly. Then the silent, sly crocodile struck. It snatched away Margaret, an older woman who was walking slowly and with difficulty along the riverbank. Well, of course, a crocodile could catch Margaret, the villagers reassured themselves. She was very old and slow. They breathed a sigh of relief. Now the crocodile would be satisfied and go away. But the crocodile wasn't satisfied. A week later, it caught Peter, a strong young farmer. As it happened, this Peter was a quarrelsome man, and several villagers said to each other, "Well, it's not so terrible that Peter is gone. He was a real nuisance, a bad neighbor. But surely the crocodile's appetite will be satisfied after eating a big fella like him. Now it will go." So the villagers were dismayed when a week or so later the crocodile acted again when it caught an entire family as they were crossing the river in a boat. Well, that family wasn't from here, the villagers told themselves. They just arrived a few years ago, so really it's no loss to our village. Now that the crocodile has eaten all 6 of them, surely it will have had enough, and it will stop. But the crocodile didn't stop. The pattern emerged. The crocodile would hide and wait for a week or so, and everyone would hope that at last it had eaten enough or had gone away. But then some villager would be forced by necessity to go to the river to fish or to fetch water, to try to cross, and the crocodile would drag them into the water to their deaths. The villagers were terrified. The threat of this crocodile meant they had no peace. They couldn't work. They couldn't plan for the future. They had no idea who among them or when one of them might be attacked. They no longer gathered on the riverbank for pleasant conversation. Instead, each trekked to the river at odd times, hoping to pass unnoticed, each hoping that someone else would become the crocodile's prey. Gardens withered from lack of water. The weekly market was abandoned as fewer and fewer people remained to buy and sell their wares. But while the villagers recognized the threat of the crocodile, they didn't work together to find a way to deal with him. They didn't set a trap or establish a protective force on the riverbank or unite to fight him. Instead, they each told themselves that for whatever reason, they wouldn't be the next victim, and the crocodile would take someone else instead. "The crocodile hasn't come after me yet," Each villager would reassure themselves, obviously it's not interested in eating me. I'm not the type of person that is its prey. I'm safe. And soon the crocodile will have eaten enough, and it will be satisfied and stop. Or it will go away, back to wherever it came from. Or someone else will figure out a way to stop it. But the weeks passed, and fewer villagers remained. They grew more and more suspicious of each other, each hoping that the others would be the next victims. Finally, just a handful of villagers remained, and they came together in the village square. "We've got to do something," they agreed. "We've all been so convinced that we wouldn't be the next victims that we banded together. We haven't banded together to stop this crocodile. But it's not stopping. Let's figure out a way to end this terror." But by then, so few villagers remained that it was too late. After its many easy feasts, the crocodile was so strong and well fed that they couldn't mount a defense against it. One by one, the last of the villagers disappeared. They each assumed that they would never be the prey. The villagers and the crocodile. Now, what is the moral of the story? Here are some possibilities. When evil threatens, we must unite against it or fall separately. Or, by choosing to ignore the wrongs done to others, we make it more likely for those wrongs turned on us. Or, don't assume that evildoers will be satisfied or disappear instead of choosing to continue in their evil ways. Or, a society that discounts the suffering of its weakest members ultimately weakens itself. Or, it's risky to assume that we're insulated from unpredictable evildoers' destruction. Or how about we might even consider this proverb from the Bible: rescue those being led away to death. Hold back those staggering towards slaughter. If you say, "But we knew nothing about this," does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not he who guards your life know it? Will he not repay everyone according to what they have done? Proverbs, chapter 24, verses 11 and 12. What do you think? As I hear this story, I am struck by the many ways we as a community sometimes behave like those villagers. How often have we seen injustice or pain affecting someone else and quietly told ourselves, "It won't happen to me," or "someone else will handle it"? Yet, just as the crocodile didn't discriminate, injustice and suffering are threats to everyone when they're left unaddressed. Perhaps the real lesson is about community, about our calling as followers of Christ to stand together against evil, injustice, and suffering wherever we find it. Jesus showed us that love is not passive, it's active. It doesn't look away, it reaches out. How might we as individuals and as the church move from quietly hoping problems will disappear to courageously confronting them together? Thank you for joining me today on the third word. I hope this parable has inspired you, challenged you, and maybe even unsettled you a little. That's a good thing. It means God's calling you closer to his heart for justice and community. I'd love to hear your reflections or stories. about how you see yourself taking action in the world. May you trust deeply, bless freely, and celebrate grace abundantly. Until next time, let your life speak the third word.